It's a simple fact of life that we're all going to have to deal with plateaus. Even outside of training, there will be times where you just can't seem to progress. Not making progress for a long enough period of time is incredibly frustrating, and it's not uncommon for people to just completely give up in response to a plateau. You see this a lot with people who are trying to lose weight. They push really hard on their new diet. First couple of weeks, it goes great. They lose an absolute shit ton of weight for 2 weeks. Third week comes along, it seems to slow down a bit, and then maybe in the fourth week they don't lose any weight at all. And suddenly it feels like all this effort that they're putting in to try and lose weight is wasted. So they give up and they just gain all that weight back. And that's not ideal. You don't want to just be gaining and losing the same 10 pounds year after year. And you don't want that to be happening with your strength progress either. I do want to clarify, when I say plateau, I mean no progress at all. I don't mean slow progress. Slow progress is fucking great and should be celebrated, whereas no progress is awful. So here are my tips on how to break through a plateau. First thing to consider is, do you have your basics in order? How's your diet? Are you sleeping well? Are you sticking to your training program? If you don't have these things, then you can't expect to make good progress. If you're eating like shit, you've got to sort that out. You can't expect your body to be able to recover properly if you're not giving yourself adequate nutrition. So make sure you're not eating too much, make sure you're not eating too little, and try and get in a good amount of protein and veggies, and maybe a little bit less in the way of cookies and Cocoa Pops. As far as sleep is concerned, if you're not getting a solid 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night, you can't expect to be making good progress. Sleep is where you recover, and if you don't recover properly, you won't progress. It's as simple as that. So cut back on the caffeine a little bit and send yourself to bed just that little bit earlier. You have to make the time to get adequate rest. And I know it's a little bit easier said than done, but putting the time and effort in to create better habits so that you can get proper rest is a very good use of your time. Sometimes you have to sacrifice that hour of Netflix or YouTube in the evening, and that's really boring, and no one wants to do that, but you will thank yourself in the morning when you actually wake up feeling refreshed. So be an adult and send yourself to bed. If you're not sticking to your program, then honestly you don't even need this video. All you need to do is fucking stick to your program. So you either need to find a different program that is easier and that you will actually stick to, or you need to find some way of sticking to your current program. Either way, you can't expect your program to work if you don't. If you've got the basics down, the answer might just be to change things up. Your body may well just be too used to everything you're throwing at it. Arnold would tell you to shock the muscle.
Because you've now shocked the muscle.
So if you've been working in a low rep phase trying to build your strength up and you've hit a wall, maybe try transitioning into a higher rep phase of training. If you're trying to increase your flexibility but you're stuck and you've only been using static stretches so far, maybe try some weighted stretching or some PNF stretching to see if that is able to push you through. In short, try something new and you might be able to break through the plateau. Be careful though, because this might also be the reason that you're in this position to begin with. You can't change things up too frequently. If you change things too often and you don't give yourself enough time to see whether the change has actually taken effect, then it's quite easy to find yourself in a plateau. It's also incredibly difficult to measure progress across sessions if you're changing things all the time. And personally, in my training, I know how helpful it is for me to have that data, because if I know exactly what I've done in my previous session, I have something to beat. I have a goal to beat in this session. And I think depriving yourself of that is a massive, massive disadvantage. I generally recommend that if you're a beginner, you stick to your first program for a good 3 months to reap a lot of the benefits. After that, feel free to find a new one, but developing that ability to stick with it and actually see the results is very, very important, because if you never commit to something fully for a long enough period of time, you will never make good progress. So develop a little bit of grit and stick things out for a decent chunk of time and you should be all right. It's always worth considering a deload. Sometimes the answer is as simple as taking a week off or a week at half intensity. You just have to give your body that chance to recover. If you haven't made any progress in a while and you generally feel a little bit worn down and beat up, chances are you could use a week off. Now, personally, I can't take a full week off because I'll go mental, but I can reduce the volume by half. Just do half the sets for every exercise. Then I can enjoy a nice, easy week of just like the easiest workouts ever. Still feel like I'm getting something done because I'm still going to the gym. And it's just nice, it's easy, and my body gets a chance to recover. You may feel a little bit weak and rusty when you get back to doing your normal workout a week later, but you'll be soon up to speed, and then hopefully with your new recovered body, you'll be able to push a little bit harder and actually break through that plateau. Make sure you aren't pursuing too many goals all at once. Your body only has a limited capacity to recover, and if you're trying to work on everything all at the same time, you're just going to end up wasting all that time and all that effort. You want to prioritize carefully and pick a small number of goals that you can work solidly on for a decent period of time until they are achieved. And I know that's really difficult. It's so easy to end up being distracted because when you work on these goals, it takes a long period of time. You start off with a load of initial excitement and eventually you're just gonna get bored, and it's often a grass is greener situation because you might find yourself in a situation where you're lean bulking and then all of a sudden you just get this itch to try and get really shredded, or you want to be able to do handstand push-ups, but then all of a sudden you see a planche on Instagram and you think, yeah, that's my main goal from now on. But developing that ability to just focus in on a small selection of goals and work until they're achieved is so valuable. So really just try to make good decisions and do everything you can to follow through. Finally, I want you to look at your effort in a session. I've occasionally found myself in a position where I'm stuck in a plateau, and I've tried a lot of the tactics that I've talked about today, and sometimes it doesn't work. So all that's really left to look at is, am I pushing hard enough? And this can be deceiving because on the surface, yeah, I'm doing the sets and I'm doing the reps that I'm supposed to do. But if you look a little bit closer, I wasn't really pushing my hardest. My form wasn't 100% dialed in. I was probably pushing the limits of my rest times a bit more than I should have and being a little bit lazy on my phone. If I'm honest, a lot of the times I'm more focused on the podcast I'm listening to than I am on pushing myself to perform at a high level. Sometimes a plateau is just a reminder that progress does not come easy, and it certainly doesn't come for free. Especially once you're beyond the initial beginner phase, you have to put the work in. So if you've tried everything and it's not working, just double check that you're not being lazy. I also mentioned this in the beginning, but I want to clarify again. Slow progress is not a plateau. The chances are you've just graduated from being a total beginner and this is your first introduction to intermediate life. Progress from here on out just isn't going to come quite as easily as it used to. And that's fine. Slow progress is great. Slow, steady progress over a long period of time is exactly what you want. And it's infinitely better than no progress. If you're just frustrated that the progress isn't coming fast enough, then my only advice is just relax, because that kind of mindset is what leads people to pushing themselves too hard and getting injured. And it leads people to just taking psalms and steroids in an attempt to relive that fast progress they got when they were a beginner. And you don't need to do that. Just try to enjoy the process. You're in the gym and you're making progress. Things are going great. You don't actually need to change anything yet. So relax, try to have fun, and do your best to develop a little bit of patience. And that's all from me. Remember that to get through a plateau, you don't necessarily have to use every single one of these tactics. So try one out, wait long enough to see if it actually helps, and then if it doesn't, try another one. You risk throwing it all away if you try and change too much all at once, because you'll get overwhelmed and you give up. So try one thing at a time and see how it helps. Thank you for watching. I hope this video helps you out. If you're interested in online coaching, there's a link in the description. Subscribe for more videos like this, and I'll see you soon.